Hello, hello. Hello, hello. It's Tootie Tagerly from San Francisco, 1 p.m. West Coast time, the United States, and chatting to you today about unpacking that imposter syndrome that's holding you back. Most of the people I work with have some type of imposter syndrome, and I work with a lot of women, people of color, and immigrants, but I also work with men of all races and backgrounds. And that little feeling of, oh, everyone's around me is really smart. Do I really belong here? Can I hang with the rest of them? I think we all have that in some ways. And we all have that, especially when we're people who strive and do new things and push ourselves and try different things because these are high achievers. We are high achievers, very successful people who want to do more and do different things. And I want you to know that I think imposter syndrome is normal. It's a part of life when you're playing in big rooms, big stages, and it's okay. And at the same time, I also want to help unpack some of the imposter syndrome that might be holding you back. So the first thing to remember is imposter syndrome is going to strike the most when you're doing new things. I work with a lot of people who are in career transitions. When you start a new job, especially one that you've never done before, yeah, it's gonna hit because you're a beginner. You feel like an idiot. You've never done this before. This is for a first-time CEO or someone who has been with one company for 5 or 6 years and now is transferring somewhere else where you might know your skill set and your background, but you sure don't know the culture of the company, the processes, and how things are done here, or the relationships. You have not built that up. For me, this really, really hit last week. I was in New York. I was at Leading Design, a design conference, and I was speaking on stage. And it wasn't actually the speaking because I've done a lot of speaking, lots of practice on it. So I know how it makes me feel. I know the jitters, and I also know when it's going to go away. Typically after the first, 2 or 3 sentences, and I get into the content. But I was doing something new for the first time. After I spoke, I was immediately asking people via call to action to go to the vestibule. Vestibule is a fancy word because I was going to do a book signing for my book, Make Space to Lead. And for some reason, this imposter syndrome really struck. It wasn't the being on stage speaking. I'm much more comfortable with that because I've done that a lot. But it was the fact that I was going to go ask people to come talk to me and come buy my book. I was going to ask them for money. That's a little bit uncomfortable. And I was gonna say, "Hey, look at me. I'm the expert. I'm gonna sign this book for you and impart wisdom on you." And for some reason, because it was a brand new thing that I'd never done before, I really felt that feeling of, "Oh my gosh, I'm not a real writer. I'm not a new author. Who am I to be sitting up there doing a book signing?" But I wanna tell you this is normal. It's gonna strike when you're doing especially something new, and the more you do it over time, it's gonna go away, like public speaking for me. It's a lot of practice. So the second thing for unpacking the imposter syndrome is to really naming the emotions that are coming up for you. Actually, this is 2 points, so I don't really know why I made it one. But first part is naming the emotions. We'll call it 2A, which is, for me, there was really like a sense of a little bit of anticipation and excitement because I was about to speak. But as I dug deeper, there was a little sense of shame for me because it felt that I was being non-generous by asking people to pay money for my book. And then it felt like, who am I to be doing that? Just like, and I could feel myself like getting small and feeling that. But it really helped to have lunch with a good friend right before I went on stage. And I told her, here's all these things that are just running through me right now and feeling. And it helped to share them with someone else. Because even as I heard the words coming out of my mouth, that's when I could say, hey, that's kind of silly. That's kind of a ridiculous story that you're telling yourself. So that was really helpful. Not quite sure why I put prep work here, but the other way to unpack and help with imposter syndrome is be prepared. Do all the prep work that you can, do all the busy work, the micro work, everything you can to kind of assuage and make the imposter syndrome feel better. Oh, I know why I have these both together, because it's the doing and the being. The emotions is the being and knowing that you're going to feel maybe this anxiety, maybe this non belonging. And sometimes when that's there, doing things, doing the prep work, ordering the books, making sure I have my fancy best pen, making sure that there's some signs there, making sure that there's someone there who is going to like be with me and help me take money and help take photos. All that prep work helped me assuage a little bit of a, okay, I can do this. I got this. I know how to do this. Practice helps. And then the next part, the third part, or yes, we'll call this point number 3, is if you're going to unpack the imposter syndrome, some of it is a story in your head that I don't belong because this person is so smart. This person has such a wonderful pedigree. This person has like a huge quantitative background and can like logic their way out of everything. This person went to art school. They know what they're talking about design and art. There's stories in our head that we make up, about all the people around us. And the way to unpack that sense of imposter syndrome is to really get to know those people, because they aren't their Harvard MBA. They aren't their SVP title. They're people just like you and me. And they're people who have also felt this imposter syndrome, also been new at this particular job. So one way to unpack imposter syndrome is to connect with the people around you, understand their stories, know that they weren't roaring overnight successes. Connect with them, understand where they're coming from, know what they've learned, and use that to build relationships. Because that'll help build trust, make it easier for you to do your job. But most of all, I promise it will assuage those feelings of imposter syndrome when you understand where someone else has been coming from. And maybe when you hear that they too thought that they didn't belong at some point in time. And then finally, the last point, the superpower is that if you stay present into the moment, into what's happening, and curious, that is a way out of imposter syndrome. It's being able to stay present and be like, I'm really nervous. I really feel like I don't belong here right now. I feel my heart pounding. Oh my goodness, what is happening here? Oh, could it be because I've never done this before? I'm so curious about why I'm starting to sweat like this. So it might be a stretch, but where I find that I usually go and where my clients usually go is a cycle of heady self recrimination. What's wrong with you? Of course you belong here. Or, oh my gosh, why are those people so smart? I don't understand those facts. They're going to ask me questions I don't get. That's headiness. Instead, I think the way to get around and get over that is staying present, paying attention to the people around you, paying attention to like the groundedness of your body here right now, and being curious, asking questions of yourself about why some of this stuff is happening, and also asking questions of other people. You might also feel imposter syndrome because you don't know what's going on, because you're new to the situation, but you're the one bringing in a new perspective, a new point of view. They're they've been immersed in the space forever, for years. You are bringing in a new question, and if you are the person raising your hand and asking that question, someone else is going to wonder too. All right. So, in summary, today's talk was talking about unpacking the imposter syndrome holding you back. And I just realized there was something else I was going to do. Unpacking the imposter syndrome holding you back. And the way that you do that is realize that imposter syndrome strikes when you're doing new things. One, two, you name the emotions and you do the prep work. It's the balance of the being and the doing. Connect with the people around you, go deeper and understand their true story of struggle and learning and perseverance to get where they are. And then finally, stay present and curious. If you would like more tools for this, I am running my first online async course. You can go to tuditagerly.com/lead with space, and it kicks off on April 4th. I would love to have you join me. Teaches you skills like this, like how to overcome imposter syndrome, and has you practice them. There's like homework. It's a 12-week course, so there's short snippets of video, but then there's like go out and practice this and bring this back into the space and share it. All right, that's it for today. I hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday. Bye.